Welcome back, everybody. This is Herbie with my Nomadic Dream, and today we're going to be talking about what I use to boondock. So as some of you may know, I am a full-time RVer, and I have been boondocking now in the Quartzsite desert for the past 4 to 5 months. And for everybody that doesn't know, I'm going to show you what I use so that I don't have to be hooked up or to run my generator during the winter season here at Quartzsite. I have 4 200-watt rich solar panels, and I have all Victron components inside of this little cubby here, and I'll show you those in just a second once I get done talking a little bit more about the solar panels. These are my 4 200-watt solar panels from Rich Solar. I have them wired positive to negative, and to join them together I simply just have 2 clamps so it holds it as one unit, and then I made these little wooden legs to prop them up so that they can get a proper angle with the sun, and I can easily just kick them out and fold them down on the very windy days. And it's the same thing over here, and I got the solar wire running up into this little flange that I put here so that I don't have to keep my solar door cracked open for the wire. And then what's really amazing about this is that when I pack up and move, all I got to do is loosen these little nuts, and I can actually feed all that cable back through and have it neatly coiled up so that it's out of the way and it's not bothering anybody. And as you can see here, I got enough wire here to actually probably put my panels all the way just past those bushes, which is about 45 feet, 50 feet away from where I am right now. And that means that if I'm like camped in the mountains and there's only a certain spot that gets sunlight, you know, I have 45 to 50 feet of wire that I can extend out there. But for the juicy part of the video is everything that's inside here. And inside this bay, I got an MPPT 150/60 charge controller. I got the Orion Smart DC to DC charger. And what that is actually this little cord out here, right here. So that plugs into the back of my truck so that I can actually use my truck as a generator if need be. So I hook that up to the truck and it charges it off of the alternator, because as I'm driving, that means that I can keep everything in my fridge chilled and all of my frozen stuff frozen, and I don't have to worry about if the regular 7-way plug is going to keep everything running, which being full-time is very important, that I can keep whatever food I have in the fridge cold. Because if I end up in a spot and I'm like an hour away from town and I know that I have food and then I get there and it's bad, that's a horrible situation. But let's get back to this. And then next to my DC to DC charger, I got the solar power switch. So when I actually pack up the solar, I actually shut it down completely. And then I got the Victron Links distributor, and I have everything, all the wires going through it. I got the bus bars and the breakers, and then the multi-plus 3000 watt inverter charger. And what you can't see is actually in this cubby is 2 SOK 280 amp batteries, which gives me a whopping 560 amp hours, which is enough time to run my AC without a soft start for 4.5 hours from 100 to 0 without solar coming in. And I still have room for 2 more 280 amp SOK batteries, which would give me just over 1100 amp hours. So I have room to upgrade my system, which is always good, because if I ever get a larger rig or an older rig, it's going to be nice to have the capability of adding 2 additional batteries without changing anything. All I got to do is get 2 more cable wires and the 2 batteries, and I'm good. I don't have to do any fancy wiring or stuff like that. Yeah, so I did put this in before I got down here. I finished the solar wire and hooked it up to the panels once I got to Quartzsite. And I have not had to run my generator at all this whole entire season to have power in my trailer. However, there was one day where it got hot and I did turn on the generator, plugged it into shore power as like a test run to make sure that the generator was still working, because it had been about 3.5, 4 months from the last time that I ran the generator on any test. So I just wanted to put a load on it that day. Oh, and then with those batteries, if I get 2 more SOK batteries, that means I can run my AC for 9 hours. And I will be perfectly, completely capable of boondocking literally anywhere in any temperature. And if you are wondering where I got it from the website explorus.life.com, from the YouTuber Nate, because he has plenty of videos online that actually goes into detail on how to set up your own solar. And the best thing about that company that he has is that they sell it as a kit. All the wire thicknesses are already figured out. All you got to do is know what length of wire you need, and basically what size inverter with X amount of solar panels. But it's already a pre-made kit, so there's literally a drop-down menu. You can pick like A, B, C, D. I could have got 1,000 watts of solar, 800 watts of solar, 600 watts of solar with a 3,000 watt inverter, or the 2,000. It's super easy. Comes with perfect diagrams to run everything yourself. And another thing that I did was a transfer switch inside of the camper where I actually tied my solar system into the shore power orange cable so that every single one of my outlets work. That's very important when you're boondocking, so you don't just have 1 or 2, because if I'm living in this, I want everything to work just like I'm hooked up to shore power. Otherwise, it's just a waste of money, in my opinion. As far as power consumption, after the solar panels are not pulling in any more juice, in the evenings I'm 100%, and by the time I wake up in the morning, about 8-9 hours later until the sun comes back up, I'm only down to between 80 and 87%. So I'm not using a lot of power. So I definitely have a perfectly sized setup for my rig. But the camper did come already from the factory solar setup. So it does have a 200 watt solar panel on top. It came with a 1,000 watt inverter, and it came with its own charge controller and everything like that. But it would only operate the outlets in the bedroom, and that was it. I had to run my solar system through the factory inverter as a pass-through so that I can have all the outlets working. But I built the system this way, and the reason why I don't have the solar panels mounted on top is because when I get ready to sell this unit, I'm not going to get the money back with what I invested in solar. So all I literally had to do is just take all of that stuff out and plug the inverter back in, turn on the breaker for the charge controller, and reattach the solar wire to the back of the charge controller, and it's already boondocked friendly, because you always had to think of the future. But that is my setup for boondocking in Quartzsite or anywhere else, and I'm actually very pleased with my purchase with the Victron and the Rich Solar. The batteries were like $900 a piece, so two, that's $1,800. And the Victron, all the wire connectors, all the wire, all the smart stuff, and the solar panels was about $5,000. So for about less than $7,000, my rig is completely off grid, and it's pretty magical. When you're in the middle of nowhere and you want the lights on, you just gotta push a button. You don't have to go outside, turn on your generator. You don't have to go back outside to put more fuel in it. It's the best way to do this lifestyle is with solar of some kind. But that is all the information on my setup and how I've managed to survive in the middle of nowhere and live like I'm not camping. So until next time, do some research, find out what your rig can do and what you need, and if you can do this, do it. But until next time, later guys, bye.